Hey everybody, so I was thinking that it has been a minute since we've done any kind of listing challenge, or that I haven't done any kind of listing challenge. And considering that quarter four is fast approaching, I was thinking that it would be a good time to do it, coupled with the fact that you guys know I've been kind of struggling with motivation and energy and just trying to get things going. So I thought this could help give me a little bit of a focus. So feel free to join in on this listing challenge. You can leave a comment below if you think that you want to do so. And it can be whatever listing challenge that you personally want to do. But I'm just going to outline real quick today what I decided to focus on for this challenge. Now, if you're a newer-ish reseller and you don't really understand why resellers get so excited about quarter four or Q4, you'll see mentioned it's the last quarter of the year, the last 3 months. And generally in reselling, they're usually the best months of the year for income from reselling. And I think it's true in the retail world as well, considering the holidays and things like that. Now we sell stuff all year round, obviously, but our sales definitely do go up in the fall and winter months. Now I feel like August, it's still pretty warm, but people are already thinking about fall and winter, especially if we're talking about clothing. So a lot of times it's good to be ahead of the next season when you get things listed. Now, that doesn't mean like if I don't have all my sweaters listed by September 1st or October 1st that it's going to be the end of the world. You can keep adding seasonal items all through that season. That's totally fine. But to just kind of be ahead of the game a little bit so that you actually have things available, because people actually start looking for the next season sooner than you would think. And just look at retail stores and how soon they put out different holidays or how soon they put out clothing for the next season. So why is fall and winter so much better? I mean, some of it's kind of obvious. There's holidays, things like that. But people just tend to be home more in the fall and winter. During the summer, we've got summer vacations, you've got kids home, different things like that that are distracting. People are outside. So once the weather changes and people are home a little bit more, they like to start nesting. They start to focus inward on their houses, maybe redoing them, moving things around, buying something different. They could get depressed from winter and just want to buy a few things to cheer themselves up. There's gift giving. With the holidays or that time of year, they do a lot more entertaining. And so sometimes they discover what they're missing as far as dinnerware, flatware, things like that, or they just want to add to it. Clothing in the fall and winter is generally more substantial and so can garner higher prices. Also, people just tend to spend more money on a jacket, sweaters, boots, things like that, as far as, it doesn't cost as much to pick up a pair of flip-flops or a pair of shorts or anything like that. So that's another reason. People also, when they're home or stuck home because of darkness or weather or whatever, they turn to their hobbies, they turn to their crafts to try to keep themselves entertained during that time. And so as you can see, a lot of these things can correlate over to the types of items that we sell as resellers. So what I decided to do is my listing challenge is not necessarily going to focus so much on an amount. Like in times past, I've done challenges where I want to do 50 items a week or 100 items, in a certain category. But this time, my thoughts on the listing challenge is to not focus on the amount, but focus on my focus, if that makes sense. So it's more about focus on this one. I'm focusing in on the items that I need to get listed now before the selling really starts to ramp up in the next couple months. Now, caveat, election years are usually a little bit different. There's different reasons for that, but I've heard a lot of resellers talking about that. Election years, just people hold on to their money a little bit more, whether it's the uncertainty or they're just distracted or whatever. So this quarter four could be a little bit different. The year so far is kind of a little bit different, but if we're getting and focusing on things with good sell-through rates and that people need or feel like they need, such as flatware or dinnerware, things like that, then it should be okay. So another good reason to kind of focus on those things for the next 2 weeks is what I'm going to set my personal focus on this is to just, I keep saying that word focus, but that's what I mean. I'm narrowing down my listing. Now, Mr. Pish Posh is joining me in that sense. And when I, a lot of times I'll be like, here's this stuff. Can you list this? Or he goes out into our profit pile garage and he finds a bunch of stuff. And so he's already kind of started. He's listed some jackets and sweaters and, long sleeve shirts and things like that. And so we're kind of, on a head start with that. What we did, he did tell me, we've already started selling winter hats, like beanies. You guys know we sell a lot of baseball caps, but he says he has a bin of winter hats that he's just kind of grabbed. We've both grabbed from the clearance center over the warmer months, and he has some of them he started listing, and some of the ones that we had listed from last season are already selling. We just sold a Sherpa hat for $25 the other day. So people are already starting to think about that. They're starting to think about their fall and winter wardrobes. And so he mentioned that. So before he does baseball caps, he is going to make sure to get these winter hats listed. We have scarves, we have things like that, the accessories. So he said he'll give that priority in the next 2 weeks. And knowing Mr. Pish Posh, he lists so fast that bin will be done in a couple days. Anyway, so he'll be focusing on that type of thing. So he's kind of in my challenge, but if he lists something that he just happens to come across, that's fine. This is kind of me for myself and my mental kind of focus on that. So like I said, it's not so much the amount or how many listings we get done, just the types of items that we want to get listed and focus on. So what are some of those that we're going to focus on? So this is going into like our backlog, like things that we have already in the house that instead of reaching for a summery dress, I'm going to reach for a sweater to be the next thing that I list. So we mentioned fall and winter clothing, anything fall colors, start listing the things that are wool or flannel shirts or boots or hats or scarves, things like that. Another focus I briefly mentioned, flatware and dinnerware, and we could add to that cookware. People are in their kitchens more. There's cookie presses for us seem to sell for better money in like November, December. So like a vintage kitchen utensil, we focus on things like that. So we're going to try to focus on, as people are entertaining, they're like, oh, I don't have enough teaspoons. I don't have enough dinner forks, or you know what, I'd really like to add 5 place settings, or invite so many more people, I need like 4 more forks, right? And so they tend to start looking at what they're missing. Things break over the holidays, or you have company, things get thrown away. Dishes, you're over at your mother-in-law's house. I've had this story, actually, people tell me that they buy something like a platter or a dish or something, or a bowl, and they're just like, oh, I'm so glad you had this. I was at my mother-in-law's and it broke, and like they wanted to replace it. So different things like that. There's different reasons that people actually look for flatware, dinnerware more often in Q4 in the fall and winter. Now, obviously, those are things we sell all year round. And like flatware to me is a really good niche to be in. I've talked about it before, but it's something that kind of people are always kind of looking, but we definitely see an uptick in our selling of those items in this time of year. Coffee mugs, you could mention coffee mugs. I've mentioned that before because I sell more mugs in the fall and winter. We've sold quite a few even actually recently. But we don't have a huge backlog of coffee mugs, but it is something I'll kind of keep my eye open for, like I usually do when I'm at a thrift store. What else? Patterns and crafts. Okay. Like I said, people are home, they focus on their hobbies. So I've been selling my patterns. I've been listing patterns a little bit more regularly than I had in the past. And so, you know, I've been getting sales of patterns. So I just think it's one of those things that if I make sure I just kind of keep on a regular basis adding to the pattern shop, then that'll pay off as well. I was going to say, when Mr. Pish Posh and I were discussing this before I made the video, and we were just talking about the fact that, you know, I can still within these categories. Now it kind of sounds like, because I was about to say jewelry, accessories, all the sales of those go up in the wintertime. And so it's easy to just be like, well, everything we sell just sells better in quarter 4. But we also talked about prioritizing these things. So if I'm going to prioritize and whatever time or energy I have in the next couple weeks, fall and winter clothing, Mr. Pish Posh and the boys kind of handle a lot of the clothing these days. I do a lot of the women's clothes, but I've got some like sweaters and things that I'll try to catch up on down here. Like I said, he'll do winter hats, beanies, scarves, things like that. But we also really want to focus on our flatware and any random dinnerware that we have around. So I think our main focus will be those two, but keeping the pattern shop going by trying to just, you know, at least a few patterns every few days into that shop. And that's it. And I will do some jewelry. I've been trying to tackle that backlog a little bit and keep Ruby Lane going as well. So I think I can do a mix on Ruby Lane of some of like the flatware. I've sold some vintage flatware on Ruby Lane, so I might focus on some vintage flatware over there, other flatware on eBay. I've done kitchen utensils on Ruby Lane, so a mix of maybe the, you know, jewelry, flatware, kitchen type things on Ruby Lane to keep that shop active and going. Okay, so leave me a comment down below if there's another category. There's holiday items. We don't sell, that's not really a niche that we're into. There's also, what was something else I thought of? Toys. You know, a lot of resellers do have experience with retail arbitrage where you kind of find out what the hot toys are, buy them from the stores and sell them online. That's not really been very successful for us. Even, I don't know, if we come across new in-box toys, they don't seem to do that great. So we've sold Lego in the past, but Lego does sell year-round, but a lot of it is oversaturated. So unless you find some vintage stuff or older stuff, then that can be a tricky area too. So anyway, leave me a comment below if there's another category of reselling that you find does better in fall and winter that maybe you want to tackle specifically and get really like posted faster in this next couple weeks. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to think about too is my sourcing habits. That I'm gonna, you know, certain things that will affect. I know I said that I didn't necessarily want to set like a item goal or anything, an item number goal, but I obviously do want to spend, you know, as much time on doing this as possible and actually make a dent in our backlog and get some things listed. So I'm trying to minimize my distractions as well. Shocker, I deactivated my Facebook account. I really did. Like, anyway, it probably should be a subject for another video, but it can be reactivated. It's fine. I felt like I was justifying my amount of using it for the information it provides about bolos and about glitches and about just different things. But as you know, Facebook is also filled with all sorts of other distractions and sometimes negativity, often negativity and things like that. And I just found I was having too much of a habit to just like open it up. Okay, so I took kind of a drastic step and I deactivated that. But then sourcing, in order for us to feel like we're making some progress in our profit pile, I debated the whole, well, I'm just not gonna go thrifting for 2 weeks, but that's unrealistic. Sometimes I do it just for the break, just to get out of the house, just to, kind of a stress relief, it's enjoyable. And so that kind of helps motivate me keep going with the listing part of it. But what I have vowed to do for sourcing in those next couple weeks is to be a little bit more intentional with it, more selective, really focus on sell-through rate, meaning the number of items listed and available versus how many have sold. Just making sure that those numbers are good, that there's more in solds than there are available, or at least a good amount that gives some indication that it's an item that sells fairly quickly. I think I'm going to focus on especially the items that, well, at first I thought that I was going to focus on in-season items. But honestly, if it's got good sell-through rate and it's a summer item, and it's a good price, I'll pick it up. Anyway, if I see what I basically want to avoid, even when I go to yard sales and our clearance center, my rules are a little looser in that area, just because costs are usually a lot less. I'm not checking things at yard sales on my phone. I'm not doing that so much at the bins either. And so, but I just don't want to just bring home a bunch. Like sometimes I do at the bins. It's like, well, I'll just check. I'll just look it up later. Whatever. A little bit more intentional there, and at yard sales, a little bit more selective. What I'm trying to avoid is just kind of like the fun, cutesy vintage that I love to pick up emotionally. And, I've got plenty of that to work on right now, and that's not going to be my focus of trying to get listed, at least in these next 2 weeks. And so I'm going to try to avoid adding to that kind of thing. Okay, does that make sense? Hold on one second. It's not wine, it's iced tea. Anyway, so what will make that whole listing versus sourcing easier is, as you know, I've been sick. I'm sure you can still hear it. So I am sure I'll be home for the next few days. So this first week I'm starting the challenge today. So, this upcoming week, I'm not going to be out of the house very much. I'm making sure I don't spread this to anyone else, because it was pretty miserable, let me tell you, and don't want to share. So far the boys, Mr. Pish Posh did get sick. The boys did not yet, and I'm so hoping they don't get it. If they don't get it, that'll simplify things a lot. Otherwise, I'm sure I'll be home a lot longer. Okay, so leave me a comment if you're going to join. If you want to do a listing challenge right now, you can do it however you want. You can do it as a number amount. You want a certain amount of things. If you want to just pick a certain category of things. But just let me know in the comments down below how you decided to do it. And I think that's all I had to say today. I just wanted to get this video out. And then I'll see how much energy I have for the rest of the day. Maybe I can get a few things photographed that I can easily list from my couch or bed or something like that. Probably my bed. We're trying to stay away from the boys as much as possible. So nice having older kids who can feed themselves for the most part. So anyway, hope you guys are doing good, staying healthy, and I look forward to your comments down below.